Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've shared a video here. I actually have been sharing 99.9% of my content over on holisticspring.org, which is my membership platform. I'll link it down below. The reason why I haven't really been sharing here is because a lot of videos have actually been getting removed and I stopped putting my time and energy into a platform that has high censorship and a lot of hoops and things I have to jump through and things I have to change in order to actually be able to post content here. So everything that I create is pretty much over on my membership platform and on my Instagram page where I share a lot of tips every day. That's also linked down below. Anyway, today I do have a topic I want to share with you, which is something I thought my audience here would really enjoy seeing. And that is the fact that after 8 years of gluten avoidance, I decided to introduce it back into my diet temporarily as an experiment. So I'm going to dive into all of it. For those of you who don't know, my name is Marla and I am a registered holistic nutritionist and homeopathic practitioner. And I was diagnosed as borderline celiac about just over 8 years ago. Now, by borderline celiac, my transglutaminase in my test was slightly elevated, but not high enough that they would consider me to be a true celiac, but also not low enough where they were saying, oh, you don't have a gluten issue. So they knew I had a problem with gluten. It was high on my food sensitivity tests, pretty high on an allergy test, and that transglutaminase was just underneath being a true celiac, okay? So what happened when I would eat gluten? Well, about 8.5 years ago, anytime I had wheat or gluten, I would break out in full body psoriasis, head to toe. I've made videos on it here in the past. I also have a ton of before and afters and content and information around it on my Instagram. But I did have psoriasis, PCOS, thyroid issues, mold toxicity, topical steroid withdrawal syndrome, eczema, and IBS, and so much more. So I had a lot of health issues, and gluten was one of the foods that I was eating frequently that was exacerbating all of those issues and conditions. So I chose to remove it from my diet. And after removing it and doing lots of detoxing and rebalancing, all my issues cleared up. And I have since not had gluten since then, because if I did have a little bit, again, full body psoriasis would appear. So I avoided it for almost a decade, okay? And then I thought, I have done so much work on healing my gut. I've detoxified, I've lowered my inflammation so much. What happens if I have a little bit of gluten? I wanted to see if my body was so calm that I could eat gluten and not flare. Now, I don't want to eat gluten. I didn't want to consume gluten so that I could have it moving forward. I still am 100% gluten-free. I do not touch it. It was purely an experiment to see if fixing your gut, detoxifying, lowering inflammation, all those things, and avoiding a trigger food for a period of time can actually help reverse sensitivities and allergies. And that's what I wanted to share here. So just to clarify, I personally do not want gluten in my life. I don't think it's healthy for me personally. It's not something that I need to consume. And in 2024, I find it so easy to be gluten-free. So it's not anything that I miss. But I just wanted to try it again as an experiment for you guys, because so many of my clients, when I tell them, you need to avoid gluten, they panic and they're like, is this a lifelong thing? And is this something we can't ever have again? And for majority of people, the answer is no, it is not a lifelong thing, because as I just proven with myself, you can have it again. So here's what happened. A couple months ago, I decided to try the gluten, and I was nervous if I had like a bunch of it and it did make me flare, that I would be like really messing up my health. So the first time I had it, which was a couple months ago, I had a little bit. Now I wrote down everything on a paper when I introduced the gluten, what I introduced it, how much I had, and all of that, and I lost that sheet. I filmed a masterclass on resetting your gut a couple weeks back, and I used that sheet for the masterclass, and I cannot find it. So these details are a little bit fuzzy in my mind now, but here's roughly what I did. So I believe the first time I had gluten, which was a few months ago, I had one French fry that was coated in a gluten like breading. I believe that was the first thing that I had. But regardless of what I had is not important. What's important was I had a tiny bit, okay, like one French fry, which before a teeny speck of gluten exposure would be enough to throw me into a huge flare. So I thought I'd try with the speck and then build my way up. And so I had it, and we're out at a restaurant. I had a little piece, and I want to wait 3 days, okay? Because usually a food sensitivity reaction can show up within 72 hours. It doesn't always have to be immediate. So I didn't want to give it 12 hours or 24 and then say I'm fine and then have it again. So I gave myself 3 days. It might have actually even been closer to a week, to be honest, if I remember clearly. But I gave myself enough time to see if there would be a reaction, and there wasn't. So all I had from that initial introduction was a little bit of bloating and like abdominal discomfort. Now, if you guys are celiac and you get the symptoms in your abdominal area, you will know what I mean when I say it's a gluten cramp or symptom. I could eat other foods and get bloating or cramping, but gluten specifically gave me a specific pain and feeling that it was nostalgic for me because I used to always get it. So that the second the pains and cramping started, I knew exactly that it was from gluten, okay? So I knew that was the trigger, and that was the only symptom that I had, and that was from that little bit. So after about 3 to 5 or 7 days, like somewhere in that range, I decided to try it again, but this time a little bit more. So again, I had gluten. I don't remember if I think it was, again, might have been French fries that were breaded that I had a few of, okay? I'm trying to recall what I ate, and I truly cannot remember at this point because this was a good like 5 months ago now or more. And like I said, I lost that paper. But when I reintroduced gluten the second time, I had more than I had the first time, but it still was a small amount. Like I think it might have been a few French fries or something, nothing crazy. And what ended up happening was I got a little bit of that cramping and abdominal pain within about a few hours again, but no skin symptoms, which for me is what I was kind of going off of, because previously I would immediately have a skin symptom. I again waited 3 to 7 days-ish and then repeated this. So this time I went and had a full-blown bit of gluten. I cannot remember what I ate for the life of me, but I know that it was like a portion worth of gluten, okay? So I was sacrificing myself for you guys, okay? So I had a full portion of gluten, whether it was a piece of bread or a little slice of pizza, I do not remember. I'm so sorry. But when I had gluten that third time, again, I had a little bit of the discomfort in my stomach. I took enzymes and things like that, took some probiotics, and it went away after a little bit, and I drank fennel tea, felt okay. I had no skin symptoms. I decided to try it one more time a few weeks later, okay? I went and my husband actually bought, now this is something I would never eat, but I did. He bought a croissant, and it had like it was like a chocolate croissant. There was a little bit of like a chocolate, dark chocolate cream in the middle. Now, it was from a bakery that's all organic, all natural. They use whole flour, so there's no processed ingredients, but it still had wheat in it. And I had a piece of that and no flare, like not even stomach cramping. So my takeaway from this was I had gluten on multiple occasions. 2 of the times it was a bigger portion, and normally I would have been wrecked, and I felt fine and great. So my takeaway again was that I could actually have gluten and tolerate it on occasion now, and it would be okay. Not that I will, not that I want to, but the thought of that for me was just, it's super nice to know that my body can actually handle something it could never handle in the past. And it just, I would go into massive IBS flares and psoriasis flares from gluten. I could not leave my house. So it was really exciting to see that, and just knowing that like, hey, I healed my gut, I fixed my body, and it can tolerate things it could never tolerate before. So that was super exciting for me. That's what the experiment was for. And I wanted to show you guys that yes, it is possible to actually have foods that you once had to give up, and your body can tolerate it in the future once you calm inflammation. So it was just a really hopeful, exciting thing. Again, not that I need gluten in my life or want it. I'm still 100% gluten-free for life, but it was nice to know that my body has healed. And I kind of used gluten as a test to see that. So it was really exciting. And now I know that if I accidentally get gluten bombed by a restaurant or a family member, accidentally, that I won't be dying from it. I will be fine. So that was exciting, but I hope you guys felt like some hopefulness from this. Follow me on my Instagram if you can. I'm linking it down below because I share videos every single day there on tons of tips and information. So all of my connections are in the description box below. But it was nice chatting with you guys for a few minutes. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you soon. Bye.